Okay, so you guys didn't really miss much. I knocked out a really short stack here with 6s against his 4 deuce that he decided to go with. I'm doing really well in this tournament, but this isn't the tournament I care to do too well in early, I guess, as much as other ones, because it's good, but this is such a finicky tournament. It really is. Ooh. See, that's another one of those borderline spots where I just decide not to go with it. Maybe I should have with only 9 big blinds or whatever, but that was really close. Anyways, this is just a finicky tournament. Usually when I do really well early, I don't do well late, and when I do really well, or when I do really bad early and I'm barely in it going into the end of the rebuy period, I end up doing great. I'm glad I didn't go for it. In trouble. I was just waiting because I was thinking about what my bet size should be. I feel like this fits the situation better in a rebuy. This one I'm definitely going with, even if he does something. I just feel like I can't, in good conscience, fold this hand. Folded 8s, but I don't even know if that was necessarily the right play. And that was after a raise and an all-in. Don't really like that call. Kind of hoping he has 2 overs. I don't think he's calling with much worse. Ooh, he barely is. I'm glad he didn't have 2 overs. If he probably had an ace, that would have been. I know that's results oriented, but I guess I'm just thinking out loud. Fold right there. I'm glad I didn't. I swear I haven't really been thinking about this hand much, so strategy gets a little bit confusing when that happens to me, and that happens to me a little more often than it should. After hitting my hand, I gotta try to get the money in there. I'd rather do it now than on the river, because if he has a draw, he's putting it in now and not on the river. And he hit the top set, so that was a bad card for me to hit. I'm actually surprised he bet out top set. There were draws out there, but yeah, I guess it's not a terrible play to bet out top set. Just a little surprised most people probably wouldn't do that. Well, I've seen a lot more of that than I used to. The 7 was not a good card. So you see, I was doing great in this tournament, and I'm back down to doing well, I guess. Decent. Such a finicky tournament. I have won it once, but that was when it was a lot smaller. It was only a 6K guarantee, I believe, when I won it. It's all the way up to 12. And then I've made a lot of deep runs in it, but other than that one time I won it, I haven't had a huge cash in it. I've had some decent ones. So I'm doing well at this final table now. That's kind of the, staying alive can be, really show its benefits when you play that nitty style and you make a comeback like this. I don't recommend it. It's not the best way to make these situations. You lose value when you have the same leak that I do, when you play a little bit too tight and you can't increase your stack the way a lot of the best players do. Now, there is something to be said about playing your style, which fits your game, because if you play like half of somebody else's style that works really well for them, it might just not work for you, because playing half of a style or part of a style can just ruin your whole game. I mean, there's so many complications in poker, like image and being able to read other people, which some people can do, and if you can't do it right, other people's strategies won't work for you. Just so many complications where someone else's strategy might not be the best strategy for you. you know. I talk about these internet pros and the basic, not formula, but the really popular style that online pros use to win, and I talk about it a lot, and I compare my game to it a lot, and I talk about my difference compared to the prototypical online pro style. And, you know, adding elements of that into my game will definitely improve my game, but taking like a big chunk of that and adding it to my game and only using parts of it, not completely committing myself to it, or not completely understanding how it works and not knowing the intricacies of it and how to utilize it. And obviously all the top pros have different styles, but you know, some of them have more. There's a basic style. I mean, it's hard to just explain by talking about, but if you study a lot of the pros and how they play, there's a basic style that comes up over and over and over again, which is aggression, 3-betting, 4-betting. Just a basic style that kind of comes out of it, and it's not what I wanted to have happen, but I kind of thought it might. I don't know why I thought it might. But anyways, to finish my thought, which I don't do often enough, it's just taking a big chunk of that and adding it to my game and keeping other parts of my game might make my game a little awkward and not quite work that well, and it might work worse than my game originally was. For a variety of reasons, you know, some of the plays pros can get away with might work because they have a certain image built up and they play based off of that image, and if I don't completely build up that image, I actually like this play. It's really risky and high variance, but I think it's a good play. I just don't think he's calling with very much there. I think I think he's folding a lot of the time there. I'm not positive. I think that's a good play though. But yeah, if I don't have a certain image built up or whatever, you know, certain plays might not work for me that work for other people, and I try to use those plays and they don't work because I don't have the right image built up. So your game is a fluid, never-ending puzzle piece that is yours, and you can't just take somebody else's and fit it onto yours. You have to figure out how to do it yourself. It's one of the most unique and complicated and intricate things when you really delve into it. I'm just trying to squeeze profit out of this guy. When that ace comes, I love it because it makes my hand really strong. Makes my hand really strong and not unbeatable, but I'm never folding. And then I basically have the nuts in my opinion, and I'm gonna play like the nuts. So I was just trying to do whatever I could to extract value from him. So I thought checking on the flop gave him a chance to bluff at it on the turn, and also I could maybe still extract value on the turn. You know, there's reasons to bet out on the flop rather than the turn, even if you don't think the guy has a very strong hand, but that situation, I definitely don't think it was the situation to do that. Now, if I had a little bit stronger hand, I would almost have odds because it's only raising 5 big blinds. But Jack 7, I still don't think I have odds there. But see how much he increased his stack just by taking the blinds one time. And he's betting pretty light, so I might have had odds in that last hand. I don't think I did still, because I don't think he's just raising any 2. But, and even if you have odds, it's not necessarily something you want to go after. I mean, I'm comfortable with 300,000. Puts me at least in good. I mean, I have a stack I can play with, I guess. And if I lose 100,000, or I guess 80,000 more, you know, I'm down to 200, which is a much more awkward stack to play. Well, it's not more awkward, but at least my options. I have less options, you know. And it's not saying that would have made me make a certain play, but it's something to factor in. And if I think the odds are really close, how losing the pot will change my stack size is something to consider about whether I should actually go through with it, even if I barely have odds. It's a very good hand to pick up four-handed deep in a tournament. It's really nice that someone raising into you too. And this is a spot I like to man. Yeah, I'm gonna shove. If I had kings or aces, I might not shove, but this hand I feel like... And the thing about shoving is sometimes you can get called by weaker hands shoving rather than just 3-betting. It almost looks weaker. This situation, I'm not sure if that's true. I think he's going to have something really good to call, but if I just raise and give him a chance to call, you know, I don't think he'll have odds, but... You know, I don't want an ace or king coming in. It kind of kills the strength of my hand if he calls my 3-bet. I probably still have the best hand, but I might have to throw a lot of chips at dead money at that point, you know? So, it's a little bit of an... It's not a bad situation. It's a little bit awkward. I could make a small 3-bet. If I 3-bet more often, or 3-bet shove more often, my play can become a little bit better because he's going to play back at me more often, and that's what I'm talking about, how your image will really affect how well your style works. So if you only use half of a style, it might totally ruin your game because you'll just lose money on half of what you play because you haven't built up the image to make that part of your game work. I mean, I almost want to shove right here if he folds. There's a lot in that pot. The problem is if I lose, I kind of flop positions with him. But I still like it. God, it's a terrible hand to get called by. That's why I shoved, because I didn't think I'd get called by a hand like that. I still win, luckily. Very luckily. But, I mean, I shoved thinking I wasn't going to get called by a hand like that. But I got lucky, and that's the other reason why shove's not a bad play there, or not as bad of a play. Why there's extra value in it, rather than making some other raise or a fold or something. Maybe if I didn't hesitate, he would have folded. I kind of doubt it, but something to think about at least. I'm going to try to bring it to 8. There's two, if you can see, two 47.50 guarantees. So I'm trying to figure out which one it is. I could play in position, but Queen Deuce is pretty bad. So here it is. I'm going to put the... So you can see it right here, the egg raise. I'm just going to let you look at it. I'm not going to talk about it at all. Just because I'm going to pay attention to the hands I'm sitting out of. So weak. So weak. So I've fallen a little bit. Not in terms of chips necessarily, but just in place in this high roller. Guessing the price pool, right? It's pretty big. So